Hello, everyone. Happy Friday morning. It is going to be such a freaking good day today. I have so much I want to jump on live today and talk about and share with you all. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to join our live. A lot more people. Let's see. Hi, everyone. I don't think I can share this from my TikTok studio link. Hello, good morning. Happy Friday. I have so much good stuff to share with you guys today. Hi, Alessia. Hi, Angie. If you guys are jumping in, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. I always like to see where everybody's coming from. All right. Me and John have some plans today, so we are going to jump right into today's live. I am so excited. Hi from Italy. Hi. I still have never been to Italy. However, we are definitely going to be doing a European summer very, very soon. So I'm super excited to hop on a plane over there. All right, so we are going to be jumping in today to talk about exposure work. And I want to preface this by saying that exposure work has quite literally changed my life. It has changed my life so much to the point that it's become a signature piece of my trademarked unconscious communication system, unconscious communication process, which takes you from where you are now, if you are in a specific person relationship and it's not really moving towards commitment, if your income in your business isn't where you want it to be, if your income in just your life in general isn't where you want it to be, you want to see that relationship move towards commitment, you want to see that business income increase like crazy, you want your income in general to increase like crazy, you are going to want to partake in the unconscious communication system. I do not know anything that works as quickly as this does, right? Exposure work is the third piece of the unconscious communication system. And it varies depending on who you are, what you want to experience, where you are, like what degree or level you're already at in the journey of manifesting the relationship or the money you say that you want. And exposure work has been, so if you guys don't know a little bit about my story, I come from a background of OCD. And in OCD therapy, you'll hear a lot about exposure work. It's kind of like one of the only ways to move out of OCD. And OCD is very rooted in uncertainty and needing to move out of uncertainty and being okay with the uncertainty, right? And you will be purposefully, if you've ever experienced OCD, you will be purposefully put into situations that directly are in your face about the OCD topic that you have. And you will have to hold the uncertainty while you're facing it. Like you're basically forcefully putting yourself in anxiety so that you can teach your body that it's safe and you can regulate through it, right? That is how you dissolve OCD. And so I went through that process 2 or 3 different times with different topics. And after the third time, I realized, wait a minute. First of all, I don't even have to identify with this anymore. But second of all, this work is going to also fuel the identity from which I'm now choosing to operate in, the desire, right? I wanted to be in a relationship with my specific person, my now fiance, right? I wanted to increase my income in my business. I wanted to be more visible. I wanted to get on lives and have these incredibly life-changing conversations with you guys, right? So I had to start getting uncomfortable because I knew the version of myself who was in that committed relationship, who was stable, who was secure, who knew that when she walked into a room, everybody was like, oh my God, who is she? Right? I had to expose myself to being that woman and then having it mirrored back to me before it was even a thing, before believing in that in myself, before it was a thing. So today I want to get into some of the very specific things that I did on both avenues of my relationship and increasing my income that changed this in me, that allowed me to step into what I like to call always chosen consciousness. And inside of always chosen consciousness, you are always chosen. You always get the guy. You always get the business. You always get the success. You always get the fame. You always get whatever it is that you choose because you are always chosen. You are always chosen, you guys. And I'm going to give you a really great opportunity to join my brand new group program, Always Chosen, at the end of this. So make sure you stay tuned. So, what did exposure work look like in my relationship? Well, for those of you who don't know, I was in a friends with benefits situationship. How many of you guys have been in situations like that or are currently in a situation like that in your relationship where you guys are interested in each other, you love spending time with this person, you can see yourself spending the rest of your life with this person, but maybe they're not giving you the full exclusive commitment you want. You can't yet change your Facebook status from single to taken quite yet. You're having conversations with them about how they don't want anything serious, and you're kind of like, how the hell do I handle this? Like, I know how to manifest. I know how to create things in my life. I know to see the end goal and live as the end goal. But how do I approach these types of conversations? Right? How do I approach a relationship where I'm not getting what I want? Or like I'm seeing in the comment here, he gave me commitment, but I ruined it, low key. How do I respond to my relationship knowing I wanted to go back to how it was or move forward into a new version, right? How do I do that? Well, the unconscious communication system is, of course, the only answer. And inside of that, it's a 3-piece system. It's shadow work, it's emotional clearing, and then third piece is exposure work. You're going to want to take care of those first two before we really start digging into exposure work. So make sure you come join Always Chosen. If you're very focused on relationships, make sure you go join Overnight Success. Okay. So what did I have to start doing in my relationship? I was having conversations. There was a lot going on. I was having conversations with him where he just wanted to be friends. He just wanted to see where things were going to go. He just wanted to try things out. He just wanted to experience somebody different than his previous relationship. There was an ex in the picture, you guys. They shared custody of a dog together. A really cute fucking dog, right? All this was going on. Very minimal contact. It started out frequent. It started out, he was kind of around and we were discussing, communicating all the time, and then it dipped off. It was very, very, very minimal. I never was in like a full 100% no contact situation, but just about. It was very much like, here's a Snapchat picture here and there. Not much. And then there'd be days where it was just nothing. Okay. So a lot of these familiar to you guys circumstances were showing up. And for most people, what they would want to do in this situation is they would want to react. They would want to call him a avoidant man, a narcissist. He's using me. He's getting his cake and eating it too. If he wanted to, he would, right? All of these like new age relationship thoughts and mindset processes that a lot of people are unfortunately stuck in because they don't yet see how they've unconsciously been creating the relationship dynamic to begin with. Because when you are in always chosen consciousness, you stop having experiences like that because they just die before they even land in your field, or people will shape up real freaking quick in your field. Real freaking quick. Okay. I had to expose myself to then changing how I was showing up when I was having these conversations about being just friends. When I wanted to react that the ex was still in the picture. I remember early on, I was in the car with him and we were going to Target or something. And I was putting music on and I was connecting my phone and I saw, and this was a new car. So I saw that his ex had her phone linked into the car. What would anybody have done in that moment? What would you have done in that moment? How triggered would you have been? How bothered by that would you have been? What stories would you start making up? Because I was at that point making up stories. Oh my God, I am being used. He's seeing her behind my back, blah, 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 blah. Right? You could go into so many stories about that. So many of you would go into stories about that, right? I was like, wait a minute. What if the way I've been responding and reacting to those exact circumstances are my portal to change? What if I can use this as an exposure opportunity to choose, actually, I am always chosen, even in these moments. So why would this need to bother me? Sure, I had to go behind the scenes, clear shame, guilt, lots of limitations in my mind because I was also dug into like the man hate and men use you and abuse you and narcissists and all that stuff, right? I was in all of that. I would like put on man hater music with my friends and be like, yeah, screw men. Like I would do all of that. I would. So I had a lot of shit to unravel. So here's how it looked when I really got good at exposure work. I would be able to have a conversation with John, my now fiance, and he'd be like, I really like you. I love having you around, love being in your presence, right? All things that I solidified within myself that he was repeating back, but I don't want to be anything more than friends right now. I'm just seeing where this goes. Well, old me would have been very reactive to that. But now I was like, okay, sure, of course. Yeah, anytime now that's going to change. I would say things like that, you guys, out loud without any fuzz, without any riddledness of that's not true or I'm being delusional or I'm being used, right? None. Yeah, okay. Anyways, that's not long now. Your mind's going to change. Not long now. You're going to admit how you really feel. It was comical. And I could move on about my day because I knew where we stood in my imagination, in what I've chosen. So it didn't matter. And I kept doing that. Then he would go on walks with his ex. I'd find out, oh, they're going to walk the dog together. Before I was like, oh my God, he's going to walk the dog. She's going to schmooze him into being back in a relationship. He's going to get feelings again for her and their dog. And I could have went on and on and on and on and on and on. Right? But I chose in that moment to say, okay, what am I making this this dog situation mean about me and what I desire and choose to happen? And if every possibility was on the table, what meaning would I give this instead? That it doesn't mean much. It's just fizzling out. The 3D's just lagging. Every time he spends time with her, he's wishing it was me. He's thinking in his head, I better kind of separate myself from this dog so I don't stay connected to her, right? What ended up happening? What ended up happening because I stopped getting trapped in and being activated by that. Next thing I knew, the dog was very much not in his life anymore. Cute dog, but I can understand why that wouldn't work. Right? Suddenly he was saying things like, I think I gotta separate myself from this dog. He had no clue that this was something I was deciding. He was just mirroring back exactly what I decided on. Right? And then from there, she was gone. X was completely out of the picture. Gone. I chose that and I was not triggered by it anymore. I allowed every trigger to become an exposure portal for me to expose myself to being always chosen instead. Okay? Then what ended up happening? I was so deep in knowing I was an always chosen, committed to woman in this relationship. You couldn't tell me anything else. Like, people would ask me, while I wasn't observing full exclusive commitment, people would ask me, because we'd be spending time together at this point, oh, is that your man? And I'd be like, yeah, it is my man. And what about it? I wasn't worried, oh my God, he's going to find out I'm telling people that. I wasn't worried, like, oh my God, what if he thinks I'm crazy lunatic? No, I knew he wanted to be my man. In my imagination, he was. So at this point, my field was so strong, I didn't care to tell people that he was. Easy. Before I knew it, I was guided onto a path. I was on TikTok one day, right? And I saw this card game pop up. This like couples card game. You can find it at Target. I think it's called, I forget what it's called actually, but it's in a purple box. And I was like, you know what? We're going to go to this hotel in Atlantic City. Back when we lived in Philly, New Jersey was like right there. We're going to go to this hotel in Jersey and we're going to play this card game. And it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really, really fun. We play this card game and he pulls a card. And I knew this card was in the box, but I forgot. I completely forgot about it. And the card said, what is one question you've been waiting for me to ask you? Oh shit, it's happening. What is one question you've been waiting for me to ask you? And we literally locked eyes. And it was like, you know, we knew where it was going from that question. And you guys know what happened from there. Okay? I had no limitation. I had no worries about, is he using me? Is he going to go back to his ex? Is he wasting my time? What if people judge me on the relationship? Nothing. I was so deeply in faith because of practicing this exposure work. There was no separation between me and the relationship happening. Most people can affirm, they can visualize, but they never fully step into the full identity of being always chosen and express it through the relationship dynamic, express it through who they're being when they're responding with the man they want to be in a relationship with. People go on dates over and over and over and over and over again and try to find their man. Problem one, you're trying to find your man. They go on dates and they're already judging the man before they even step foot in the restaurant for the date. Do you know what would happen? Obviously, I'm engaged, but if I was not, and I was going on dates, guess what? I would have the best assumptions about the man I was about to go into that date with. And I know that he would enjoy every ounce of my company. And if I wanted him, I'd get him. That's it. That is how convicted I became. Let's move over to money. My money journey was longer than my relationship journey. I mean, I'm always on both, right? We're always, there's levels to this shit. Okay? I remember when I first started my business and I got pretty successful pretty quickly because I had no attachment to it. I had no like outcome. I wasn't attached to any outcomes. Okay? And I took off. Like, I would wake up every morning and I would have so many new followers on Instagram, Facebook. I think by the third week, I was already making sales. Day one of my business, somebody was in my DMs asking if they could pay me to coach them. And I was just doing it for funsies at the time. to talk about my relationship journey. I was like, people need to know about this. Shit's crazy. People need to know about this. And people were DMing me for coaching. And I was like, oh, there might be something here, right? I started doing it. I started creating my overnight tapes that I create for my clients. And by week 3, I was already making sales pretty consistently. Most businesses take months and months and months to make their first sale. I made my first sale in the first 3 weeks of my business, and I kept making sales and booking coaching packages. Okay. Then some of the money stuff started to creep in. Oh my God, I don't want to take advantage of people. I don't want to charge them too much. I don't want to make people feel like they have to pay for this result, blah, 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 right? All this stuff started to creep in. Oh my God, what if I like become so rich and so separated from everybody I know up to this point? So much started to come in. And I still continued to grow a little bit, but I kept hitting a plateau in my business. Back then, the plateau was probably like 3,000 or 4,000 a month, right? That was in the early phases. And I grew it a little bit, and it was good, but it was always these trickles of success. Like I had to work really hard and put in so much effort to create that success because yes, I was super clear around relationships and love and so convicted in that. And I was okay with the money stuff, but I had a lot that I had not become conscious of quite yet. So I grew enough to finally move out and get my own apartment with my fiance, John. But my income was still kind of plateauing around the same place. And I knew that I wanted support. So I became aware of a mentor at the time who I loved, and I loved her content, and I knew that she would be the gateway to bridging the gap to my next level income. At that time, I wanted 10K months. This mentor was $8,000 for 2 months of coaching. I did not have $8,000 at that time to invest into coaching. I had about 50% of that, and it was almost everything I had. But guess what? I knew that if I wanted to increase my income, I would have to stretch my capacity for being the woman who was already operating at a higher level of income. And that woman who is operating at a higher level of income is investing and stretching herself into the coaching places she wants to be in. If you want to increase your money and you are not investing in mentorship, literally good luck, because any millionaire you talk to, multimillionaire, whatever, they are invested in their business. If you want to manifest your relationship and you are like, I have found the person who I know is going to help me get there, and then you're like, oh no, I that's not in my budget right now, I don't have that. You are choosing to not act in the assumption of the woman who is already inside of the relationship. It goes both ways. If you were already in the relationship, if you were already increasing your income, you are investing in those areas. You are investing in the coaches who are going to allow you to manifest that relationship. You are investing in the programs and the business opportunities that are going to allow you to create the money. That must happen. It must. Okay. I put down half of the money for that $8,000 program that I did not have the full $8,000 for. And like I said, that half was almost everything I had. And I had rent, and I had all these new expenses that I was learning how to work with. It was stretchy. You have to stretch, though, to teach your body that this is the identity we're in now. Okay. That following month, this is all exposure work, you guys. That following month, I made that money back times 4 or 3 or 4, one of those numbers. This was back in like 2022-ish, maybe. Then, how else did I use exposure work? Because yes, mentorship is the main place you want to be using exposure work, but other ways. I started paying for things I would never pay for in full. I remember this blanket when I got my first apartment. There was this blanket at Pottery Barn. And if you've ever been to Pottery Barn, you know it's definitely not like the cheapest prices. And there was this beautiful green knitted blanket, and it was about $160. I had never spent $160 on a freaking blanket before, but I knew I wanted it. So what did I do? I was like, I'm not going to put this on Klarna. I'm not going to put this on Affirm. I'm not going to put this on some payment plan. I'm going to pay for this in full. And I did. And guess what? It solidified my identity even deeper. And I made the money back within 24 hours and then some. Because I now have a belief, that was years ago, I now have a belief that everything I spend money on, I make it back times 10 within 24 hours. Because you're allowed to have whatever beliefs you want, right? I acted in the assumption of that version of me. How do you make it back? Are you not listening? Are you not listening? I act in the assumption of, and so it does, right? Yes, you can have magic money falling from the sky and checks showing up in the mail. You'll have that stuff showing up. You will. But it's also like, what am I giving for this income to come to me? I'm giving mentorship. I'm showing people how to change their freaking lives, their relationships, their money, everything. So it's going to come through that portal for me. Okay. I've practiced exposure work everywhere, increasing in mentorship options. Last year, what did we spend? Like $33,000 on mentorship just last year. Over the last few years, I've spent almost 6 figures on mentorship because I know and knew that I was going to be making that money back so fast by acting as though I am that woman, and I am, right? Today, we are doing some mega exposure work for my own money income, increase in income. As some of you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, I stepped into Dina Rossi Millionaire 2 months ago. My life has changed drastically ever since. So last night, me and John were driving and we're like, we really want to really make our baseline luxury hotels and luxury travel only. Okay? Luxury hotels and luxury travel only. We're like, we want to go somewhere. We live in Florida. There's so much here to see. There's so many beautiful beaches. Let's do something. So we get on Expedia and we're like, let's do Naples. Let's go to Naples. And we're scrolling and we're looking at some of the options, and there's like, $400 a night, $500 a night. But I'm like, well, I know for a fact that there's a Four Seasons and there's a Ritz-Carlton on the beach in Naples. I've never spent Ritz-Carlton or Four Seasons money on a hotel, right? These hotels are like $1,100, $1,200, all the way up to like $1,600, $1,800 a night. Okay. What did I choose to do? You guys already know. If I am now Dina Rossi Millionaire and I choose to act in the assumption of Dina Rossi Millionaire, I am going to book the hotel I want to be in, not one that's comfortable and safe for me, because I always grew up in 3, 4 star, not even 4, 2 and 3 star hotels, right? That used to be the old identity. Now we don't do less than 5. So what did I do? I spent multiple thousands of dollars to stay in a resort for 2 nights. For 2 nights. Yep. I am willing to meet my edge. I am willing to collapse time so freaking fast. A lot of people are not willing to do this, you guys. A lot of people would have looked at those hotel prices and been like, oh no. People will DM me, right? And they'll be like, I know you are the woman who is going to help me manifest the relationship. And then they'll go, but it's not my budget right now. But I can't right now. Maybe when I come back from this vacation. You are stalling your growth. If you do not trust yourself enough to make investments in yourself to get you to that other side and bridge the gap, you're going to be waiting forever. I know, because I did it. I know because I also used to wait for things. And then I decided no more. No more. How else do I use exposure work to increase my income? Besides obviously investing a lot into mentorship and these luxury experiences, I started going to my favorite clothing store, Aritzia, and most clothing items there are not less than $100. You might have like a couple tops that are maybe like 50, 60. But even then, I would never used to allow myself to even spend that on a top. I wouldn't. What did I choose to start doing? Every Sunday, I would go to Aritzia, pick out 2 pieces that I liked. I would try them on. I would not look at the price. I would go up to the counter, pay for the clothing, and walk away because I knew that this version of me was wearing these elevated clothing pieces, number one. And I knew that me purchasing these in the assumption of the woman that I am now was going to make it back times 10 and in 24 hours. And every single time I did it, the money was back times 10 in 24 hours. And I don't check to see if it's there. I just become aware of it inside first, right? The 3Ds and lag. So there's no point in you checking that. That's scarcity. If you're like, oh my God, did it come back? You're in scarcity. You need to, no, you're not with us. We need to clean that shit up. Okay. How else did I start doing this? I started going to open houses that were no less than $2 million. No less than $2 million. I would walk into those open houses like I had a freaking clipboard snapped onto my back, like the straightest spine ever. It was very uncomfortable the way I was walking in there because I was still in this like performance mode. This was still a performance for me because I'd never done this yet and I didn't know what it felt like to be in those homes, right? So I kept going back until the linens in the home and the marble countertops, the Italian multi-thousand-dollar countertops started feeling really normal to me. 6 bedrooms perfectly decorated to my liking were completely normal to me, right? Until I did that. And until my back felt so comfortable in those situations, I didn't need to feel like I had a freaking clipboard attached to it anymore. Right? The other day, me and John were at the Four Seasons because that was also part of my exposure plan when I chose to step into Dina Rossi Millionaire is we're going to slim down how much we buy Starbucks coffee, which at one point used to be an expansion for me was to buy Starbucks every day. Now, not so much. Let's start going to the Four Seasons and doing our work there. Let's start going to the Four Seasons and buying a coffee there. It's not even any more expensive than Starbucks, right? Same thing. I used to walk in there like I had a freaking clipboard attached to the top of my head and I was like walking like this. I'm like, yes, I'm here. I'm at the Four Seasons. It was very unnatural. So we kept going back and we kept going back and we kept going back. And what ended up happening was me and John were lounging on some of the outdoor loungers and he's like kicking his shoes off. I'm kicking my shoes off. I don't care. I'm just here. I stay here. I stay here overnight. Cool, chill. This is just my experience. If you guys are on my email list, I sent an email out about this, or it's scheduled to go out, and there's a picture of this because I just thought it was so funny how when you're relaxed in your situation, like nobody is walking around in their $3 million house like, like they're not doing that. They're just like chilling, relaxed, making a fucking sandwich. You know, but you have to almost put on the performance until it's normal. Exposure work is always going to 10x your speed on manifesting the man and manifesting the money. This is what happens when you step into always chosen consciousness. So I have a brand new group program, which every single one of you need to be in. I don't care if you're manifesting the man. I don't care if you're manifesting the money or if you want both, because let's be honest, having both makes each other better. You are going to want to be inside of Always Chosen, the group program. We are going to do this stuff specifically for you and your situation. So no matter if you're in a relationship right now where he's not committing, you have an ex from 5 years ago that you want to change that back into a healthy, committed, stable relationship, no matter if this man has been orbiting your field and you guys love to act like boyfriend and girlfriend and husband and wife, but he won't ask you to be in an exclusive relationship, or you're dating all these men, but you're not landing commitment, then you're going to want to be an Always Chosen. But Dina, yes, that's true for me, but I also want to increase my income. Then you need to be an Always Chosen. This work is everywhere. This work is all over the place. It's not just one thing or the other. Why? Even if there are third parties. I had a third party. I was in a situationship. I now have a ring on my finger from the same person, you guys. This shit, it all can change. Are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to make the investment in yourself that you know you're being called to make right now to change this, so that I can talk to you one-on-one in these group calls, or if you choose to add the private mentorship option, and we can change this and remove all the limitation that's not allowing you to experience it right now, right? What if by December of this year, you're in the relationship with the man you didn't think you could be in the relationship with? And you're in line at Louis Vuitton because you're now buying the purse that you've been eyeing up, because your love life increased and your income increased. Even if you are at Cheesecake Factory right now working 9 to 5, it doesn't matter. You don't need a business yet. That will get figured out as you step into the identity, right? So I don't want you to watch this and be like, oh, I don't have a business. I don't want to have a coaching business. I'm interested in something else. Let that stuff go. All we're going to be doing is increasing your wealth consciousness, increasing your love consciousness, increasing your Always Chosen consciousness, and those answers are going to fall right into your lap. That's the easy part. So don't worry about that. Silence, no contact, none of it matters. Like, let's drop it all. This is silence, no contact, situationships, third parties. It's all your ego's way of saying, stop, don't do this. Don't make that investment. Don't allow yourself to fully have this, because it doesn't know any better yet. But after working with me inside of Always Chosen, none of that shit's going to matter anymore. And you're going to feel so fucking on top of the world that you know you could walk into a man's life and immediately have him, because that's just how you operate. That's how you see yourself. You immediately start a business and it just pops off right away. Or the business you're already in that you've had for years just skyrockets because of this work, because of Always Chosen consciousness. So we are enrolling right now at founders rates, which means you will never be able to get these prices again. You will never be able to get these prices again. This work is just, it's too good. The prices are going to increase very quickly. All you have to do now, send me a DM, whether you're here on Instagram or here on TikTok, shoot me a DM that says chosen. Shoot me a DM that says chosen, and we will get the link with all of the details to you. You can tell me which tier you're choosing to work in, and then we will get the link to you and you'll get inside and we'll get started. All right. Thank you guys. I am so blessed to have each and every single one of you to come and watch me talk about this work. I'm so deeply passionate about it because it's changed my life, and it is my mission to help it to change yours as well. So shoot me a DM with chosen and we will get you inside. And yeah, can't wait to do this with you guys on an even deeper level. Love you. Bye.